Hi, I'm Nams, and we're having a look at the latest collaboration from Timmy of Gizaudio with Binary Acoustics. This video is not sponsored, and the set was purchased with my own money, and all thoughts and opinions are my own. Let's get started. First, let's start with the box. It's a very humble but also fun presentation. You pop it open and boom, in the box we got the case and a tiny box which comes with some tips, a cleaning brush, and a booklet. It's a neat twist in contrast to what other IEMs usually come with, not the boring, conventional cube-shaped box, which is nice to see. Now for the case included. I both love and hate this case. I love it for how it looks. It looks the business and it goes well with the whole theme and overall design of this IEM. They even included these cute little socks for the IEMs. I know a lot of people have reported their units came with IEMs out of the bags. Your QC may vary. Now about the case. There's both good and bad. It feels cheap. The hinges feel weak, and it almost gives me anxiety that if I pushed it open too hard, that would break. The plastic feels cheap and hollow. I know that Timmy seems to be very fond of these kind of cases, as it is reminiscent of the case that came with the previous collab with the Lecturer's Galileo, although feeling a lot sturdier and better thought of than this case in comparison. And it kind of makes the case included with the Chopin feel like an afterthought, which is kind of sad. But there's more to this. I feel similarly about the cable as well. While I do like how thin and light it feels, it does feel comfortable and sounds okay when testing against third-party cables or cables that come with other IEMs around this price range. Feels a bit on the cheap side, as it has some memory to it. I left it stored in the case for about a week, and after taking it out and unraveling it, it's retained those kinks and doesn't fall straight down anymore. But that being said, cables that come with IEMs around this price point tend to be a hit or miss, so I'll let it go. What matters is how are the IEMs themselves. The set we have here is a 4-driver hybrid, consisting of an 8mm dynamic for the lows, 1 BA for the mids, and 2 BAs dedicated to the highs. It's a nice design. It's pretty unique. It's a mix of a 3D printed resin shell and a stainless steel faceplate with Chopin printed on one side and Binary Acoustics on the other side. It's kind of giving that minimalist vibe. It's not like your typical resin shell that has this design slapped on it. Even though there are a lot of pretty resin shells out there, I like how understated and unique this one looks. And when you put it on, it looks like teardrops in your ears, which is really cool. However, the nozzle is really wide and really long, which could cause issues and discomfort for a lot of people. And trying to put tips on these things was a freaking nightmare every single time. But how does it sound? All testing was done on the Sony Walkman 1AM Mark II and Cayenne RE7 dongle on low gain with Divinus Velvet tips using Tattle Max. Let's start with the bass. Chopin has a lot of bass both in quantity and quality with really fast transients. It's really tight bass. Imagine the amount of bass from a subwoofer but lacking the visceral rumble. A close but not 1-to-1 it's similar to planar bass in terms of speed, but with dynamic timbre. And it does thump. You can feel it hit. It thumps with authority, but it doesn't slam. I personally prefer a more visceral, more slam, more rumbly, slightly slower decay, not as tight of a bass, because this set can be a hit or miss with genres like hip hop or musical scores. Depends. Some songs it's pretty pleasant, it's pretty nice, but on some songs it can kind of fall dead and feel boring. That being said, it does not take away from the quality of the bass. I think it's very correct sounding bass. But I just wanted to make it clear to people who are going to look at the graph and see, oh, it's a U-shaped graph. Probably has a crap ton of bass and it probably slams. It's not like that. It's a very clean bass presentation. It's definitely still punchy, but that's what I found from my testing. Now for the mids and the vocals. Male vocals sound natural and correct, but can come across a bit lean and lacking a touch of weightiness. In contrast to the bass and treble, which does take most of your presence and most of your attention. This can be found through a lot of different tracks that tend to have a very monotone vocal range, like for example the track Francesca by Hozier. Hozier's voice does come across clear, comes across beautifully, it sounds natural, but it can kind of get lost behind the bass and the treble from the drums and the guitar. Ever so slightly. It's like you'll hear it, but you'll just hope and wish that it would come across a bit more forward. It doesn't ruin the experience, and that might be exactly what you're looking for. It can still be enjoyable, and you'll still be able to hear the vocals and be able to tell what's being said and sung, but definitely not a strong point. This also affects the sort of harmonics from guitars and violins sounding quieter compared to the strings getting struck, causing them to sound recessed and a bit in the background. But that's all I can say about male vocals. What about female vocals and the treble extension? Well, when it comes to the tracks with high notes, this is where the upper mids could shine on this set. On busier tracks with lots of dynamics, this is when it becomes kind of an engaging set. On the test track Lost by Linkin Park, Chester Bennington's high notes, voice going from his deeper singing voice throughout the song to the high notes on the chorus, that contrast comes across beautifully, sounds clear, thorough, and sometimes you will get back that touch of richness that you were craving. And this set, even though it's been a hit or miss, going from genre to genre, I found that it works really well with J-pop, especially 80s J-pop. Even though that's like a very niche genre. Now when strictly talking about the treble, it sounds very velvety and smooth and never came across as sibilant or overly sparkly. When listening to Farewell by Bernth, which is a guitar solo track, and it's a very intense guitar solo track, you can really hear the strings in every strum of the guitar. And especially on this IEM, you can really hear each guitar strum with great clarity, and you can almost hear which part of the strings were being held, the finger of the guitarist striking the strings, or, for example, on the track Manhattan Project by Ludwig Göransson, where the violin and keys sing through even on busy tracks with a lot of instruments. Is it a detail monster? No, but I'd say it's good at its price range. Are there better sets for much cheaper and better resolution? For overall better, I wouldn't really say, because this set was tuned really well, in my opinion, for the price range. Resolution wise though, it does leave a little to be desired. For example, the EA500, that set is extremely sibilant to some people, and it does come across sibilant. You can't really listen to those sets at a lot of volume, but that set completely thrashes this set in terms of detail and resolution. Now, this brings me to the imaging of this set. I have, for a brief while, gamed on this set. Let's just say a matter of 5 days. And it gets the job done. You can tell roughly from where the sounds are coming. And it's got a good understanding of verticality and horizontal imaging. I've tested this mainly in Apex Legends, where there's lots of explosions, and yes, that game has a questionable sound engine. You won't always be hearing audio, but when audio does work in that game, you can really tell where the sound is coming from. It's not like exactly pinpoint accurate, and I have heard better imaging on some cheaper sets, but it's definitely manageable, and it's good. It's a set that you can own for, enjoying music and playing video games. I think it's pretty versatile in that regard. As for musicality though, going over everything I've just mentioned and through my overall testing, I would say, like, if you're talking about pure sound, tonality, this set's good. But for musicality and enjoyment of listening, I'm not gonna lie, this set got really boring really quick for me. At first I was like, ooh, listen to that clean bass, listen to the mids and everything, wow, it's so good. And then I was like, I kind of want to switch to another IEM now. I want slam. I want velvety, almost piercing me type of vocals. And it is rich coming from someone who does own much more expensive sets. For its price point though, I did find that I was using my EA500 way more. And I'm someone who loves the U-shape. I own Gleason Acoustics Gaia, which is a U-shape. Monarch Mark III, U-shape. Obviously those are much more expensive sets. But I'm willing to listen to the S12, EA500, which are not my main preferred target, and get more enjoyability out of those sets than I do from this set. Now, for the full experience of the Chopin, you might want to shell out an additional $19-20 for the Divinus Velvet tips, as most people agree, and I've tried other tips as well. Most people agree if you want the most out of this set, a bassy tip really it does really go a long way for this set. And for the asking price of $199 US, it's like IEMs like this confuse me at times, because obviously there's a group of people that want correct sounding stuff, and then there's a group of people that somehow manage to dodge all the audiophile, you know what I mean, and they just want sets that are that get them feeling certain emotions, and they play certain music and it makes them feel like they're falling in love with it again and they're hearing it for the first time. Now, going forward, I'll introduce you to my rating system for IEMs, and it consists of musicality, bass, treble, mids, and versatility across genres. For musicality, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. For bass, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. For treble, I'd also give it a 7 out of 10. And for mids, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. And lastly, for versatility, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. I really had to really think about these ratings, because this is a solid IEM, but I want it to be as unbiased as possible and honest about it, because I know a lot of people, I love Timmy, a lot of other people love Timmy, but it's $200, and obviously for a lot of people like us who are working 9-to-5s and stuff, that might just be okay, you know what, let's just go buy it. Some people out there don't have the money to spend on a crazy set, and they're looking at this set as, okay, this is my end, this is gonna be my end game for a lot of people. So that's why I'm a bit cutthroat about it. I don't hate Timmy, I don't hate anyone, I promise. I love everyone, and I actually like this set, but I have to be honest, guys. Now, what do you guys think of this set? Have you heard it? Are you planning on buying it? Let me know in the comments. If you like the review, please leave a like. If you dislike it, then dislike it. If you want to see more content like this, please feel free to subscribe. Leave some feedback. Am I yapping too much? Am I yapping too less? What else would you like to know about IEMs? This is Nams from the Sensory Expanse, and I'm out.